What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday afternoon, and welcome to episode 5 of the Almost Patriots podcast, North Korean Porn Hub. And we'll get into a little bit about that later once we start the show a little bit. But I want to welcome my man in Indiana, Chris Elvis Presley, joining us over there. How's it going, Chris?
Pretty good, man. How you doing? Living the dream?
Yeah, definitely. It's fantastic. Today's another beautiful fall day here in San Diego. It's beautiful all during the day. Night cools off at night, so I'm liking that. No AC definitely helps the pocketbook. And yeah, man, got some cool shows coming up in town here with some of the guys.
Yeah, you're playing November 15th, right?
Yeah, over at the AC Lounge. I think that Croquet was saying that that's going to be a monthly, so it's every third Friday. We'll be doing a show there, and so we'll be rotating guests, kind of like the same as we do with our podcasts.
That's dope.
Yeah, maybe we'll stream that too. That might be cool on the channel, right? To stream that night, like if you watch, like the way we do the podcast, I would just plug in from the mixer to the computer and then stream, and then just have a camera like on the DJ the whole night, and you'd be able to, it's like you were there, you can Twitch it, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be an avenue for that. You know, like when people are doing house parties on like Friday night or whatever, just play some music. Living in the Amish paradise. There we go.
There is. Oh, look at this! Look at this guy. Why do you look like you have a job? What's wrong with you?
I don't. I actually don't work ever. I'm hoping to have
call your work
income.
You need to call your work and tell them to get you a fucking satellite dish, because you look like you're 8,000 meters below the sea level here. What's going on with your camera, buddy?
What do you mean?
I mean, you look like ET, motherfucker. Like you're coming in at like at 120p. It's like a tenth of what it's supposed to be. I have no idea, man.
Hey, Brian.
There's no.
Am I too far back, or should I move forward? Or
you look fine, but it's the signal, bro. The signal is gang. What's up? Shout out to Mr. Banks. Shout out to Brian. Shout out Mr. Banks. Brian informed me earlier, in the chat with Chris, unfortunately, that one of our favorite pizza places here in San Diego, Basic Pizza over there on by the ballpark, is going to be shutting down. They're not leaving town.
What?
They're moving. Yeah,
moving.
Yeah. So Basic is gonna I guess they raised the fucking prices on them, and like now they got to move to a new location. So
it's even dumb. It's even dumber than that. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna raise the rent." Basic was like, "Fuck you, we're leaving." And they're like, "Well, wait. Let's just do it after baseball season."
Oh, that's fucked up.
Yeah, you said they were moving. So that's why
they're moving down the street to the other side of the ballpark. So I don't know how long you've been since you've been there, Mike, but down south of the ballpark, almost in between the convention center and the ballpark, there's another apartment building down there now that got built like right before COVID.
Chris, your mic is cutting out a little weird. Try to like kiss it. You know what I mean? Like when you talk into it.
Yeah, use your tongue.
That like that, Chris. Like talk into like that.
Use your tongue. Use your tongue.
High rise went up and it finished right before COVID, and so they have a big commercial space.
Turn your gain down.
I don't know which button that is, man.
I don't even know. I got this mic. I don't even know what I'm touching on my mic.
Go ahead, Chris. Talk.
Hello?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, just a little bit off the mic, not all the way on it. That's perfect. That's gonna be great. Thanks.
Can you hear me? Check.
Mike
1,
live
2, 1,
from
2.
Beirut.
Mike always sounds crystal.
How's it going over there? Are you getting bombed? Is there a sale? I would expect there's really good sales.
I think we have
shopping. If you're shopping in a Middle
peace,
Eastern country that has been targeted by Israel, there's probably really good sales at all the stores.
Actually, they're up, because the prices are up, believe it or not, because the inventory is down because we can't get any trucks in over here.
Carrie, shout out to Carrie, one of our viewers, and she said, "Your heads look really big on my television." and that's great feedback. We're just some big-headed dudes. Mike's especially today.
Is that Carrie, the Carrie that I know?
Yeah, of course, man. You think a Carrie that you didn't know
Well,
would
Carrie,
be
I
able
would
to watch
just like
the
to
show?
say, I'd
and
just like
listen
to
to you?
say to stop making fun of my big head, because remember the last time that I saw you, your head was big in person. So stop making fun of me.
Whoa!
Wow.
Bullets have been fired. Carrie
Wow.
in the chat, if you can, please make fun of Mike. I think Carrie's got some dirt on you, buddy. I wouldn't shoot in that direction.
Probably not hard.
Carrie's my girl. I'm just messing around with her.
Gotta dig just a little bit deeper into the surface and find some skeletons.
How was your day, Mike? Did you have to go to court today, man?
I did. I had court, then I had a presentation, and it went pretty good, actually, believe it or not. It was very, oh my God. I just got the text message from her. My head definitely looks massive.
Well, she's got a massive television right there. So I like that our viewers
It's
are watching.
massive.
Sick burn,
Oh,
Mike.
God.
She said sick burn, Mike.
I love you, Carrie. I'm only messing around with you.
Oh,
I haven't, Carrie, I'm sorry, I haven't read your book yet. It's
No,
on the
back
list, though.
up on the mic a little bit now. Sorry.
No, I will not.
No, use a little bit more tongue.
I haven't moved.
Oh,
It's the
I
same.
just pulled something in my neck.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Don't do that.
Carrie,
That's bad.
let us know how Chris sounds. I feel like the sounds is off, but let us know. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just saying I haven't finished your book yet. I haven't started it. What are you doing over there? It's on the list, though, Carrie. It's on the list. I'm gonna read it.
Yeah, big shout out to Carrie. And I'm trying to let me find it real quick here. But our friend, she's not. We're not going to reveal her last name because I know she used a pen name. And let's go ahead and find this real quick on Insta for you guys. She just published a book, and it's kind of fun. I don't know if you guys like these scary kind of stories, but it's called Echoes of a Forbidden Library: Beyond the Veil. Check it out, guys. You can I think it's on Amazon as well, so if you're looking for it looks like a scary kind of story, check out Echoes on Amazon. So shout out to Carrie in the chat. And Mike was telling us about his day. He went to court, and then
Buttoned, now unbuttoned, now buttoned. What's up?
what's wrong with you, man?
I hate the fact that you can see like my undershirt because I took off my tie, and I hate when people wear like a collared shirt and then like you could see like the white shirt underneath. I can't
Bro,
stand
I'm
it.
gonna send you a picture of yourself right now. You look like you just converted to Judaism. It's really funny. Not that there's anything
Why,
wrong
you
with
saying
it.
is that
I
a
feel like
problem?
I feel like at any moment you're gonna try to sell me a Bible.
Yeah, or something like that. You know, exactly. I didn't
No,
mean it.
I'm actually gonna try to sell you life insurance right now.
Mm.
You know, so that's probably my plan. Or I might try to sell you some bananas.
So, guys, I think I'm glad you joined us. We're gonna get started with this first topic, and I was gonna hope that maybe you could read this off for the public here. So it's on the screen right now, and I just wanted to see.
I'm not gonna lie. As the friend that I am, I checked it out. Good quality content. Take a look.
I couldn't resist, man.
You know the worst
That's what you
part
get for
is,
being late. That's what you get
You
for
know,
being late. We had to bust you.
my mother is a great woman, and the fact that they're making fun of her that for the entire internet to see is horrific, and it's very hurtful. And quite honestly, I think I'm gonna go to my safe space right now
Okay, I think you should.
because this is not a safe space with you guys. You're supposed to be my
Dorothy
boy.
Mantooth
Instead
is a
you're
saint.
making fun of me.
Don't
You
think
brought it
sort of.
upon yourself, Mike. You brought it upon yourself.
Yeah.
All right, first
How did I
topic
bring it
for
upon
real.
myself? You decided
yeah.
to do that. How did I bring it upon
Yeah.
myself? You decided to fuck
Yeah.
around with it.
You started talking
Sorry.
shit. I have proof you are the first actual official shit talker on the chat.
I know.
Nobody said it. Yeah, Mike was the first one. We were like, I think it went like, I was like, hey, Chris, I put Mike on a chat. And Mike was like, fuck you, ugly motherfucker. That might have been the first thing that you said. So you brought this on yourself a long time.
I don't recall the exact words that I said, but for us
We can
New
look it
Yorkers,
up.
we typically, for us New Yorkers, typically saying "fuck you" means, "Hey, how you doing? Hope your day's going well."
Yeah, that works.
Okay, that joke didn't succeed. Nobody laughed.
It's
felt
like
flat.
most
It
of
felt flat.
Ricardo's. It's like most of Ricardo's jokes. It's fine.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Yeah,
stop me,
it felt flat.
motherfucker. No, I'm like, I keep telling jokes because one of them's gonna be really funny. It might change your fucking life. All right, guys. So our first topic today. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. Shout out again to Brian and Mr. Banks and Carrie in the chat. Thanks for watching. This is Chris's topic, Stranger Things season 5. So Chris was telling me yesterday there was a season 5 trailer that's been released.
Teaser.
What the fuck is the difference between a teaser and a
So
trailer?
the teaser, I was a little disappointed because I was kind of looking forward to it, and then it came out.
How
And
about
it's
this?
All
Is
it is it's the theme song, which is dope, right? It showed like the Stranger Things intro, and then it just showed you the title of all of the episodes of the season, and that was it. It was
Wow.
like, oh yeah. It was
Wow.
like the first time you made out with a chick in high school and it didn't go anywhere. Just
Mhm. Well, they do that as a marketing tool because they want everybody's interest to still be peaked.
Oh yeah.
So
It's not coming out till
just
next Halloween.
They reel you along. Like, oh, don't forget about us. Don't forget about us. This is like a little development that we have. Stupid.
Mike, will you pick up the mic and talk into it like you did for the election broadcast? It might be annoying, but you could also go to
Okay,
Amazon.
I'll pick up the mic and talk to you.
Yeah, that's a little better. It's a little better.
Okay.
You could also go to Amazon and
that's
purchase one of these handy mic arms.
Booms.
A boom.
Boom operator.
Yeah, they're like $30.
Oh, okay.
I know you haven't gotten a
Boom
paycheck
operator.
from the podcast yet. So Stranger Things season 5.
Yo, is
So
it
is-
like a mic ragging session today? You're just
Oh,
gonna throw jabs because I can throw them right back at you.
no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
trying to be
Please do.
professional right now.
I'm waiting.
I'm trying to be
sorry, but-
professional while I'm trying to sell Bibles. Okay.
I'm trying
down.
to learn about Stranger Things season 5, and you motherfuckers are going off target. So let's. So what's cool? What's gonna be cool about season 5?
It's gonna be
And-
awesome. It was a little weird though, because like it's funny. I was looking at some of these articles, and like I said, all it has is the titles for all of the episodes. That's it. Nothing else. No videos. No information. Just like literally the title, and there are entire streams of information about what people are trying to glean from just the titles of the episodes.
What is it? I'm a layman. What does glean mean? I think glean.
Infer. What they're trying to infer. Yeah,
I thought it was like when your teeth are real shiny.
Oh no, it's probably true, but
Okay.
it's just as shiny as your forehead, buddy.
Thank you. I know it is. It's pretty shiny. I got the light.
You
I
need a
haven't
makeup.
figured
You need to get a makeup person to like dab that, dome of yours. So
that. Shout out makeup people if you're out there. Shout out makeup people.
no, it's. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It just sucks because, they put it out right after Halloween. Then it's going to come out next Halloween, so I got to wait another year. But
Wait.
I just thought
So so season 5 won't start for another year.
it says 2025, but they always come out during Halloween, so we know it's going to be next October.
Are you a Stranger Things fan?
I thought it was really good. I liked it. I really liked it. I really love the nostalgia. Like for those of us that grew up in the 80s, in the early 90s, they did a really good job of like bringing back kind of that vibe from our childhoods. A lot of like the same stuff. And I mean, I played Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. I was a nerd that grew into my athletic ability. And so I was, Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and
Athletic
Dragons. And,
You have
Athletic
athletic ability.
ability?
What the fuck?
yeah. Yeah.
Let's blow your.
I mean, I'm co-starring on your
what
mom's
twist-
OnlyFans, so I got plenty of athletic ability.
What twisted woman told you that, or twisted person told you that? They lied to you.
That's
They're
really
trying to
good,
make
Mark.
you
I just
feel
wanted you to- No. I did all the stuff that they did. Rode bikes around the neighborhood. I grew up in rural Oregon, in the middle of nowhere. So we did a whole thing where rode our bikes around, hung out with friends, and played D&D and all that stuff. So it felt they did a very good job. And then they also threw in like, scary, but not like keep you up at night, terrifying kind of stuff. Oh, that's really good.
I figured out your mic. Okay, it's actually set so that you have to talk into the side of it. So turn it a little. Yeah. Talk into like the side of it. Yeah, that's it. Now talk.
Hello.
That's perfect.
That's better. Yeah. Yeah, I think like what you described is a lot of our childhoods is like everybody was on bikes, everybody was hanging out in the neighborhoods, everybody was like, the street ball games, playing basketball, those things. That hits home with our like generation. That's the unique thing about the show itself. It's like you can relate in a lot of areas, but also the writers of the show. I got to be honest with you, I'm not into like younger like genres, but it's like the way that they wrote it. It attracts all different age groups, and it's entertaining as hell.
Absolutely.
I got to be honest with you, it is.
Yes, it's a really well produced show, and I think the storyline is one that like a lot of different age groups can follow. So like I think that's what I like the most about it. That it's just something that like.
The music stopped. What happened?
Because Chris was breathing really loud.
Yeah, you were breathing. I was like,
super loud.
Yeah,
only roll up on the mic when you want to talk. Anyways, so I think the storyline is one that like a lot of different age groups and demographics can follow, and I kind of like those movies. Like I would akin that to sort of like an Indiana Jones type thing. You know what I mean? Where you're like, everybody's going to kind of relate to it somehow. But I thought the first 4 were really good, and I don't want to wait another year. That's kind of annoying for.
I also really like that it's something new. I'm really kind of getting fed up with like sequels and remakes and all kinds of stuff. And there was some like new.
Hollywood has.
I know. They're not creative anymore. We've talked about this a little bit, how they're just chasing money, not chasing creativity. But I just thought it was good, new content and good story. I liked it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. It's nice.
And then Millie Bobby Brown ended up, making out like a bandit. So
guys, we got a trip coming up for the boys. The 3 of us are going to all meet up to form sort of like a Bud Light style Voltron in Indianapolis at the
unbelievable. I can't even with you. I can't
wait to clip that. I can't wait to clip that.
I can't.
The Bud Light Voltron.
I can't. It's like you start getting going, and he's got to make.
You guys are like thinking about like stocks and shit. My mind's thinking about that kind of shit. So it's like I can't. I can't fight it. I can't fight it.
No, but the college football playoff rankings came out on Tuesday, but it was kind of overshadowed by something else that was going on.
Wait, what happened on Tuesday?
Oh, the election. Yeah, it was weird.
That happened. Okay.
Yeah. So not too much controversy. There's a little bit of issues with some of the teams. Like some people felt like Indiana maybe got a little snubbed because they're undefeated, but weren't in the top 5. There was some.
Indiana didn't make the top 5.
They're number 8, but the argument against and I watched Pat McAfee talk about it today a little bit, and he was saying that their record is the 103rd easiest schedule. So it's like, yeah, you can make the argument either way. They could have been higher, but they're in a good spot. They talked a lot about the eye test this year, like and Oregon's number 1, of course, in case you guys were wondering. So
go Ducks.
Yeah, it should be good,
Mr. Banks.
So we're going to go see. We're going to see the Ducks play whoever the second place in the Big Ten is.
Yeah, so I'll give you my little insight real fast about it. A couple of things. Penn State's going to be, unless Penn State has an upset, Penn State will be in the College Bowl Series. As it relates to Oregon and Ohio State has really one team that they play that I could see maybe potentially possibly having any issues, and that's Indiana on their schedule. But most likely the Big Ten championship is going to be Oregon and Ohio State. Penn State's not going to be there because Penn State lost to Ohio State, so they have that. And Oregon basically is just running through everybody. So I think it's gonna. If there's any team that potentially gets knocked out, it might be Ohio State at that point, because Ohio State could still lose to Indiana, or Ohio State can still lose in the Big Ten championship. Um, Couple of thoughts on some of the other schools. I've watched Indiana play this year. They have a couple of blowout wins. I'm not too impressed with them, quite frankly. The eye test they don't pass, in my opinion. BYU I've seen play. They've played a couple of teams strong. Still a what if. They played SMU. SMU is a strong team this year. They score a lot of points. SMU just blew out Pittsburgh. SMU, I think, lost to BYU at home by like 3 points. So they're a team, I think, like a dark horse that might get in. The other teams that you look at, Miami, the ACC championship, I don't see them losing. Texas is the only other team that might have a what if, because they play in the SEC and they play a lot of strong teams. So any given day they could lose 1, 2, but that also falls in line with Georgia. Georgia has a real big issue right now with their quarterback. Like Carson Beck is a great quarterback. He had a great year last year, but this year he's really, really struggling. And in major primetime games, he's thrown 2 or 3 interceptions in each of those games, which puts his team at a chance of losing. Like there's a couple of games they really shouldn't have won. He's played horrific. And there's other games where he's played, it looks like the player from last year. So it's going to be interesting. These are the first rankings. Sure as hell won't be the last rankings. There are going to be teams that move up, down. But what people don't realize is the big importance of being one of the top 4 teams is you get a bye in the first week. The next 4 teams get home field advantage in the first round, and the last 4 teams have to go on the road. So you really want to be one of the first 8 teams.
So then actually Indiana got a little bit of a gift because they're in the 8. They're still in the Elite 8 there. And
that's the big game left is Indiana, Ohio State. That's gonna.
Yeah.
Mike, did you go to the Penn State game recently?
I'm actually leaving tomorrow. I'm going to Penn State versus Washington up at Penn State. It's the whiteout game.
That's this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't try not to die.
I won't. One thing I would say is Penn State versus Ohio State last weekend.
I thought that was.
This up. I will bring this up over and over again. I think James Franklin does a great job at Penn State, but his criticism of not winning the big game continues to come through. And I like him. I listen to him in interviews. I listen to him talk. I think he's great, but he's got to start winning those big games. And this last weekend, playing home against Ohio State, they literally had a goal line opportunity, 4 plays, and their offensive coordinator, I'm sorry, needs to be fired. There is no way they ran the same 3 plays or 2 of the same 3 plays, halfback dives, over and over and over, and kept on getting stuck. That is inexcusable, because that literally should have been a game that Penn State won.
They should have won that game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun going up to check that game out. Chris, we're going to invade your house. Mm-hmm. Mike. So guys, on the show, before we move into the second half here of our discussion, I'll let you guys know we're thinking about doing another episode, probably a Wednesday. It would be possible. And we're going to do football, and we'll do some football rankings and then do sports, just an all sports one. That way we can kind of talk a little bit more about some of the issues and current events and stuff here on this one. Just to spread out the programming a little bit. So we'll let you guys know when that premieres. But be sure to follow us on YouTube at the Almost Patriots podcast at Almost Patriots. Follow us on Instagram at Almost Patriots. And if you want to participate in our polls and check out some of our reels, you can check us out on YouTube and on X. You can follow us at Media Killers on X. Almost Patriots will be posting for there temporarily till we get our X account up and executed. Get it executed. All right, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the election, guys. Let's do a little bit of an election recap here. Might as well get it out of the way. I know we have some topics here coming up, guys. We're going to talk about exit polling. We're going to talk a little bit about the approach to campaigning. I'm going to bring up the topic that 90% of government contract awards aren't necessarily bid fairly. And we're going to discuss a trending topic about some governors, specifically in Massachusetts, who are saying that they won't allow any deportations. So, discuss a little bit about that, get an opinion from the boys. But let's just start it off with Tuesday night, guys. So, what did you guys think of the whole situation? What did you guys think about the whole situation?
Go for it,
Go ahead,
Mike.
Chris, I'll let you go first. No, I'll let you go first. Go ahead.
Well, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on this exit polling thing is, because I thought they were talked a lot about the exit polling were, in favor of Kamala's potential future economic progress, but that didn't help her win. I thought that was interesting. I just didn't know what you thought about it.
Well, so a couple of things. First, we have to talk about exit polling, how majority of men voted for Trump, majority of women voted for Harris. If you look at the exit polling as it related to Hispanic, voting, there was a significant increase towards Trump. If you want to talk about minority voting as it relates to African Americans, it was a huge increase towards Trump. And what I mean by a huge increase, I'm talking about past elections.
Right.
Couple of things. Economics was a major player in the exit polling. A lot of people were talking about how they think the economy is not going in the right direction. They don't think the country's going in the right direction. And I think that was a direct reflection of how Donald Trump was talking about and his campaign. And I also think that it was a reflection on the Biden-Harris administration right now and what people are really feeling in their wallets. I think I'm not too surprised about the election in a lot of areas. I haven't put a lot of emphasis into the polls. I've been reading the polls, but the polls have been wrong a lot of the time. Now, I think they were a little bit better this election, but when you go to the heart of some of these polls that people are putting a lot of their, trust in, like the New York Times and some of these other ones, and it's saying clearly, like Michigan is Harris by like 6 points, or Wisconsin, Harris is up by 3 points. And then all of a sudden, Donald Trump's taking them by 1 point to 2 points. You're like, okay, that's a huge miss there. So it was an interesting night, and I want to say thank you for everybody that stayed up and watched with us, and and watched Chris go to sleep early.
You're
because
welcome,
he
Mike.
claimed he had work.
You're welcome,
Claimed he
Mike.
had work.
I did.
But
I
the
was
exit polling
whooped.
was. Yeah, but the exit polling was, it indicated a lot, it showed a lot. And a lot of the things that Trump campaigned on, kind of showed up in the exit polling. The economy, immigration, you knew where women stood on abortion. So you kind of knew where society was on abortion and so
Yeah,
forth.
for sure.
But yeah, so you kind of had an idea, but you really saw the emphasis of what a lot of people were looking towards and what they felt was important. And the number one thing that it all started coming back to was the economy.
Well, yeah, I mean, Bidenomics was a absolute joke.
So let me
And,
ask you this.
well-
Go ahead. Let me
No,
ask
it
you
Yeah, I was
was
going to say,
rough.
well, Van Jones said it best. He said during the night, he said, biting not economics, whoever came up with that saying should be fired, because that's going to go down in history. It's a slogan that is that basically is what?
I actually don't dislike as much as I dislike some of the policies. Like, I kind of like Biden now because he's sort of like, I feel like he kind of fucked everybody over, like that fucked him over, which I think is kind of hilarious. Like, all of a sudden, he's like not going to the Kamala watch party. Joe Biden votes in all red. And and then he gives that speech where he's just like super lucid. So I was like, all right, maybe he's not awful, but
Manchurian candidate.
the conditions for which I think are most passionate about are a result of somebody. I don't know who's to blame, but I think that's the point, is these conditions kind of have to change in one way or another, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he felt like he had a better chance of winning than Kamala, and the powers that be disagreed. And I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, I mean, it's pretty garbage 4 years. So.
Well, he was forced out. Like, if you're in his position, right? Granted, he had a bad debate, granted, the polls were not in his favor, but if you're in that position and you are the one that won the nomination, and all of a sudden everybody comes up, it's like, no, you got to go. We have no chance here, because in politics, it's not about any more people. It's about winning. It's about having control. And if you're in his position and you're the nominee, it's not about giving up control. You're the sitting president. I can win. I can do this. And that was his toughest, obstacle, because he really technically, I feel like, did not want to step down, but I think he was like forced, or somebody wrote kind of a letter to everybody, and he probably doesn't even remember half of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I wouldn't put myself in that position, but I just don't understand why he just kind of just totally bowed out when, like you said, he's the president. I mean, it's he doesn't have to go anywhere. He could have just, and I get it. If he fought for it, then he would have totally killed Kamala's, ability, or his ability, because they would have, split the voters. And I get that whole argument, but at the same time, like, just say no. I mean, like, you're the president.
Well,
so I don't think she was
issue
qualified at all, honestly. As much
I don't
as
either.
I don't think she.
I don't either. But
I think a lot of smart people in the Democratic Party, for sure, absolutely, 100%. A lot of well-educated people. I just don't think she particularly was the one.
Yeah, well, I think also one of the bigger problems now, which I don't like, and this is one of the fundamental problems with our society, is now everybody's making excuses for Harris, saying, well, it's Biden's fault because he didn't step out of the race, or he didn't drop out early enough, and she didn't have enough time to go around. Yeah, there's a lot of articles and a lot of people talking about that.
That's, you know what I'm saying? I would rather hear that than, we're not going to, validate the election. Like, that's really, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a natural response to losing. And so, like, there's got to be some sort of, like, and usually you got to take some time to think about it, but these people are forced to, like, set a positive, like, slogan towards the future. And so that may be something that they are going to use to keep morale up, because the last thing you want after something like this is to lose morale, because if you lose morale, man, you're going to lose members of your body. They're going to go over to the other side. So I think
I just want to interlude and say one more thing, is you have to remember, last election, Trump did not want to concede because he really thought he won, but you got to remember the breakdown of how many votes he actually lost by. So it was literally, I'm talking about 10, maybe 20,000, depending on what state you're in. So I think in total, it was like 25,000 votes that he lost some of these swing states by. So I can understand not conceding and wanting to challenge the election, challenge the vote count, because you're like, okay, there's a possibility I could still win. In this election, there was no challenge because there was such a wide margin in some of these states. Right. It's not like, okay, if I challenge, count, it's not like you're going to find 10,000 votes here. It's not going to change the election. You're losing, I'm talking about hundreds of thousands in certain states. So it's not like, okay, I can argue that. So I'm forced into a corner to be like, okay, I have to concede. I have to do certain things. I have to have a peaceful transfer of power. Whereas I'm not making arguments for Trump in any aspect, because I truly believe if you lose, you lose. And you got to take it like a man and do certain things. But I can understand his argument where he's saying, okay, I lost by such a small amount that I can see and not concede this and see if I can, I want to recounting of the ballots and stuff. But once that happens and you realize it happens and you did lose, I can understand you saying, okay, here's a peaceful transfer.
All right, guys. So shout out to Elon Musk, shout out X, shout out Mitch Dodge, shout out Mike, and shout out Grok. So according to Grok, guys, here are the breakdowns. I don't know if you can see them very well. Let me see if I can zoom in. Kind of new at this here. Yeah, how about you go away? Oh, nope, that's not what I want. I just messed that up. I just messed that up. Hold on a second. Let's see.
What is that in the background? Is that a playlist?
Give me a second, guys. What do we were to eat at?
Yeah, I put out a chart today on Instagram to show the last few elections, because I saw what you sent me, Mike, that thing about the popular vote and how they were all pretty much the same, and then I saw the same thing somewhere else. So I just wanted to look at it myself to see if it was accurate. It was close.
So you see, it looked like there was this. Oh, they didn't listen. It says right. Look at the 2020. Right. Look. So look at this progression, guys. So from 105 to 122 to 131 to 129 to 136, and then in 2020 it jumps to 158 and then 137. And so it's like, where did those 13 million voters go? Is what
it's almost 17 million voters.
You guys really aren't good at math, because 36 and 58, that's 22 million.
Okay, well,
I'm looking at 141 and 158. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's between 17 and 21 million.
You suck at selling Bibles.
That's a good problem to have.
But going to these numbers, right? You can see there's a progression, but it's a slow progression, and that's based on registered voters, people that are come out to vote based on ballot counts, and that's new voters. So that could be anywhere from individuals turning 17 to 18 having the right to vote. So you're always going to see there being a progression. Obviously, as more people are in the United States turning the age to vote, whereas you have other people that are passing away. So there's always going to be a discrepancy. So you're going to have more voters. 2020, with the 158 million voters, there's been a lot of speculation, because it was a COVID year for voting, that there's a lot of rampant fraud. Now, show me the fraud, and I'll
allegedly.
Yeah, so show me the fraud, and if there's evidence, I'll agree with you. But you have to go on data and statistics, okay? And you have to be reasonable. That jump right there of 22 million, that is a massive jump. Now, is it first-time registered voters? Is that people that came out during COVID because they felt like the country was going the wrong way? Possibly. I'm not going to dispute that. But the numbers from those years adding up, it's such a discrepancy. It's kind of a little concerning, because it's not in the right variables. It's like the progression is just out of whack. So I don't know. I think it's a very interesting statistics, and it's very interesting to see that. But it just kind of doesn't make sense in a lot of areas. But hey, you never know. Could be. Show me the fraud, and I'll agree with you.
No, I don't believe that either. I think they might have fucked the census up a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not sure.
I think it's a couple things. I think one, obviously 2020, big emotional charged election. But remember, they really made this massive push for mail-in ballots because of the lockdowns and everything.
I'm not a big fan.
I think a lot of people took advantage of the mail-in opportunity because they don't like to go to polling booths. And so I think that, I'm not saying that counts for all 20 million, but I think it's part of it.
But playing the devil's advocate to your point is there's still mail-in ballot. You can still have a mail-in ballot now, and you can still do it. So if that's the case, then why aren't these numbers increased off the 158? Why isn't it 162 or 163? You know what I'm saying? So it's you're right. There could be a lot more people doing the mail-in ballots, but why isn't that reflecting in this year's election?
Well, as I was saying, I think the mail-in ballots are because a lot of people were not working. They were stuck at home doing other things, and they, voted because they had nothing better to do. I think a lot of people still have that kind of mindset where they're like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, it doesn't bother me. I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying it counts for 20 million people, but I think that has some, part of it. Now, what I want to see is in 10 years from now, if we ever hit 158 million, because if we don't hit 158 million in the next 10 years, then it's going to look really suspicious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, also the other thing you have to remember is in several states, they extended the early voting period. So my counterpoint to you is, okay, maybe people have work, but the extension of the early voting is longer now. Some states you can do it up to 2 weeks early. So it's still, if you're just using common sense and logic, there's still a discrepancy and there's still a missing or a gap there for why the vote count is the way it is. So
What
if you
about
open it, but
for those of us not using logic?
well, then you just listen to Ricardo and look at him while he speaks.
Good answer. Go, please.
I tried.
Well played, good sir.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So that's kind of funny, but we'll see. We'll see if these 13 million people pop up. Hopefully, they'll all go to the Indianapolis 500 this year. I think there's going to be a lot of fun to be had there. So,
Hint, hint, hint.
anyways, guys, let's get back to business.
Why are you touching your nose?
Let me go. I'm going to go over here. I want to talk about this trending topic real quick. So this is one that I just, picked up on the trending topic thing. And it was, so apparently the Massachusetts governor says that she went out publicly today to say that she will not allow mass deportations or any deportations, that she's going to try to intervene to stop this so-called, campaign promise by our president-elect Geraldo Trump. And so I was thinking, so what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this, the statement that came out by the Massachusetts governor today?
You want to chime in?
Chris, I went first last time. Time. You got this.
I think this is just... Well, the question always is going to come down to, and that's what I'm hoping that Mike chimes in with, is like, what is she allowed to do and what is she not allowed to do? I mean,
that's what I want to know.
Does that mean she's going to have to? I don't know if Massachusetts is a what do you call it? We can
it's not a commonwealth. It's not a commonwealth.
Sanctuary. I think sanctuary state. That was eluding me. Whew. Yeah, I don't know if it's a sanctuary state or not. So I don't know if she has that kind of power currently with the legislation that exists. So she might have to create legislation. And if she does have to create legislation, will she be supported? But I mean, federally, she doesn't control ICE. So, I mean, like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. That's
really doing about it. Right.
What are you gonna do?
Well, there's two states. So California also came out and discussed this as well. California today had a hearing where they talked about how they're requesting more legal funding for defenses against the federal government, especially the Trump administration, if he tries to enact certain things in California. Everything from deportation to funding for disaster funding to, I forgot the other one. It had to do with energy. So a couple things on the federal level. We have ICE who goes around and they have immigration enforcement. So there were issues during Trump's the first Trump administration where ICE agents were going to individuals' homes, they were arresting them, and they were trying to deport them. Now, the problem in certain perspectives is the states can push back against that. They can put laws in, they can put regulations. However, because this has to do with national security, the federal government does have a right to go into those states under certain provisions of the Constitution. The states themselves can continue to fight that. The states themselves can put protections in. But unfortunately, if it has to do with national security, the federal government can enforce certain legislation. Now, nobody talks about this because they turn a blind eye to this. But everybody doesn't remember that Obama deported the most illegal immigrants in the United States.
A lot.
He was called the deporter in chief. Okay, when he was doing it, it was perfectly fine. However, when other administrations, especially Republican administrations, are doing it now, it's a massive problem, and everybody claims it's racist. Now, there's an issue with that, and to be honest with you, I have to take this time and tell Ricardo, your forehead is glaring off that light, and I hope it falls on your head.
How about now? Is that better?
Well, now you're farther away from the TV.
I hope ICE comes and gets you in California.
Is that better?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you
Right.
just
No,
leaned
you're
in a
fine.
little bit too far.
I was just messing around with you. You're perfectly
Is
fine.
that
But your
better?
head is right.
Wow,
Cool. Yeah,
too many drugs for Ricardo.
drugs. It's the hazy IPA here.
Yeah. That's
Anyways, I don't have any
It'll be
response. to that.
It'll be interesting to see. I'm kind of curious what they can and can't do, and it's kind of frustrating though. I mean, this is the information that's always been bothering me, and you guys can agree or disagree. But around 13,000 people died in 9/11, and we went to war for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Over 100,000 people have overdosed on fentanyl in the last decade, and we've done virtually nothing. So
I agree with that.
the numbers don't lie, people. So what's the big deal here?
No. Well, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
The question always comes down to why. So like we had this, like I said, 13,000 roughly people died, and we invaded another country, and we have 10x that die, and nothing happens. And then it always comes back to, well, now we've seen all this child trafficking stuff, and Epstein's Island and all that other stuff, and it kind of feels like the reason why nobody's doing anything is because the sex trafficking of children across the border is why nobody wants to close the border.
I feel like Epstein's Island is like a ride at Disney World.
It should be.
I'm not even gonna laugh to that.
It's so commonplace now that it's just like, hey, join us on Epstein's Island.
The only person in line for that ride to be Ricardo, though.
I didn't say I would
come out. He's gonna come out looking a little ragged. Come out looking a little traumatized.
I learned very young.
Tear coming out of one cheek.
Some fool was like, "Yo, man, come to my island." I'd be like, "Why? You want me to paint something? Like, what the fuck? No, thank you. Unless he's gonna let me be there by myself and call my friends, I'm not going."
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. I mean, I feel like Ricardo and I talked about this a little bit. When you make a jigsaw puzzle, right? You got these really complex jigsaw puzzles. Do you start in the fucking middle? Do you try to find like the dead center of the puzzle and then try to build out? No, you go to the corners and you build inward because everybody knows that's the easiest. And look, governing a large body, especially full of 300 million people, you can't just start in the middle. You got to start on the edges. And to me, the easiest place to start is just border security, immigration control, and then we can actually legitimately start spending money on like real issues once we know that a lot of this money isn't like seeping into protecting people from illegal immigration and drugs and all this other stuff. When we know that's good to go, we can move on.
Excellent. That makes a lot of sense.
Stonks,
all right, guys.
Bitches.
Let's just take a few minutes here, guys. With all these changes and new administration coming in, looks like the market is pretty happy. So I was going to just nothing in particular, but wanted to see what you guys thought about how stocks might react to this from this last election.
This one's you, buddy.
Mike,
you're the expert.
Sure. Yep. So today the Fed had a meeting. They're cutting rates by 25 basis points. Let's see. So the last couple of days, based on the election news, the market's been going through the roof. Equities have been going through the roof. However, the Treasury yield has gone up. That's based off of Trump's economic plans, which includes adding debt, tariffs. There's claims that he wants to cut the corporate tax down to 15%. He wants to make also other cuts as well. The thing where we're going to get the money for the budget, and we're going to just continue to run more and more deficits. If you look at but if you look at a couple of the stocks that are really like going through the roof, DJT, which is the company that he's associated with, Truth Social. If you look at Tesla, it's going through the roof. You're looking at some of the AI companies, tech companies, it's going through the roof. I think a lot of companies right now are playing off of the appearance that Ricardo's forehead still is, and I don't know. I think it's going to be short term. I don't think in 6 months the market's going to continue going like this. It's going to come back around.
Do you think
Yeah,
we're
it's a boomerang.
do you guys think we're going to see, and so like I predicted a little bit of a dip or a correction. Do you guys think we're going to see a correction here in the next 6 months?
I mean, the stars are pointing in that direction. It just depends on how much of a dip we're talking about. That's going to be the question.
I mean, it doesn't sound like, it sounds like, I mean, we're basing a lot of this off of a lot of this inflation. So like, what I'm hoping, and I think that, this is something that we're all hoping for, is that we have a couple things coming up. One of them is the corporate tax is going to go up a little bit, even under the Trump administration. And so what I believe is that, and
you said the corporate tax go up or go down?
It's going to go up.
Well, it's supposed to,
he wants
the
to
bill,
wants to cut it from 17 to 15.
It's already 15. Or no, it's 17 now?
That's 17. Yeah, he's trying to go from 17 to 15.
I did not know that. So that's even better. Yeah. Okay, great.
But it's going to go up December 1st, right?
I saw Mike deliver a baby on the subway. And
you just saw that? That's what I was laughing at. I thought right now that bill expires, that legislation expires, what, December 1st or January 1st?
I'm just kidding.
Where it's going to go back to 21?
No, but now that Trump's there, he can go ahead and put another executive order or whatever.
Yeah, but is he going to take office in time? I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
No, January 20th, so 20 days of high taxes.
Yeah, we'll see. Curious to see if that goes through or not. But, there's a guy that's already there. He could just extend it until Trump takes over. But, see if that happens.
Yeah, I don't think
but the stock market, the stock market's doing well right now. The NASDAQ, everything's up. I think everybody's happy that Trump is in control because, the stock market did really well his first 2 years before COVID. And I don't foresee any reason why it doesn't do well. It might take a little bit for some of the policies to take into effect. So we might see like a little bit of a plateau, possibly a dip just based on what was happening before Trump took office, but I don't foresee there being anything significantly crash-wise unless we have another. That's the other question: is there going to be another crisis because Trump's in office? But God, I hope we're smarter about it this time.
I see a crash because he's pro-business. He wants to cut regulations. He's big on energy, so he wants to let it operate.
I can buy stocks again now? Then I shouldn't worry.
You know what you should buy?
Oh, no. Yes, Mike, what should I buy?
I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to let it go.
Is it an AI penis pump? Are you really not selling Bibles and really selling AI?
You need some foundation. Get some of that glare.
I can't. Hold on a second. I'll wash my face. I'll be right back.
Just get some foundation, man. I'm sure you got that show. You've been on the camera before. I don't think so, man. I mean, I'd be surprised if it was like really bad.
Oh, there we go, bitches.
I'd be surprised if it got bad.
He's pro the realistic situation, being pro business. It's going to help the stocks and companies operate. One of the things is he wants to cut interest rates. Less interest rates on corporate debt means more capital, so they could spend it in other areas. I think he's pro, less regulation. He's pro AI. He's pro crypto and currency. I think all of those are signs for economic growth and stock market growth. The only issue is, can he get the control of the debt, and is he going to increase the debt? Because that is a major factor. So it's yet to be seen, but we'll see it in the short future.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see what these tariffs do. I mean, I know everybody's terrified of tariffs, but I think if a future exists where we get rid of income tax, if that is a future that possibly exists, the only way to do it is to leverage tariffs and get other countries to pay for it. That's the only way. It's not possible. So we used to do it a long time ago. Well, it's because
why is that such a big thing in the U.S.? Because Europe does it.
It's going to piss me off because I can't remember the name of the book. Because the book talks a lot about how we don't like to use the term imperial. We don't like that term. We don't like empire anymore. That's a word that's like stricken from our language. And so for whatever reason, the idea that we could leverage our success to manipulate the markets outside of the U.S. to pay for things that we have in the U.S. People for some reason don't like that, and I don't understand why. Because to me, it's like it's perfect business sense. Like, why would I make American citizens pay for something that I can just get other countries to pay for because we have all the power? And I don't mean like military power, although we do have that, but we have all the market power,
economic leverage.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So why don't use it? Just use it. I mean, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm sorry, you're
thinking.
Okay.
And so
put like my tinfoil hat back on.
What do we think, real quick? Because I like nuclear, and I'm just a little curious. What do we think is going to happen? Do you think a lot of these nuclear contracts that have been sort of drafted out here for this to fund this AI stuff, you think these are going to go through at all, or?
Well, actually, I was just looking at so we were talking about Palantir, right? So I was like, okay, let me look into this.
Palantir, yeah.
Palantir,
not Palantir.
They don't make anything other. They make. They're a software company, so
yeah,
they don't have hardware, so they are completely reliant on data centers, and they're going to need energy for all of their products. Any of their products to be successful.
Any AI product.
Well, not all their products are AI. They have a lot of like basically ERP systems that do like streamlining for supply chain management, stuff like that. But as a result, Chris AI Advanced Penis Exerciser, $29.99, link in the bio. Yeah. It's a replica. It's a replica. I went and I got a mold of my dick, and
I know it's about an inch.
I put @Media Killers on there, even though it didn't fit. And
that's awful. That's awful.
Well, they can't fit Media Killers on 1 inch.
So
can't
like
do that. Nope.
So Palantir is all government. It's just their government's their biggest the supporter. Most of their revenue comes from government contracts.
56%.
And they're a software company, and so like they rely on data centers. And right now, what we've learned, we've talked about it, many times prior to this, is that in order to compete in the AI market with all the data centers and the power demand, nuclear is the only option of the future. And there was a little bit of a hesitation because of the ban right now on radioactive material from Russia. But I feel like that ban's going to go away once this Ukraine war ends, which I just saw that Trump has drafted a peace ceasefire agreement to try to like resolve that issue.
Really?
Yeah, he's drafting a ceasefire essentially for Russia and Ukraine. We'll see. I don't know what it says. I haven't seen a copy of it, but it should be interesting. I mean, there's no way that it is physically impossible for Palantir to have the success that we are anticipating in the AI department or market without some sort of energy solution, and nuclear is the only option, right? It's like a second order effect of nuclear energy, in my opinion.
It's not just Palantir; it's all the other companies. So when you look at
that's just one.
When you look at OpenAI, when you look at Amazon, when you look at all these other tech companies that are rolling out AI programs, and they need pretty much basically a massive quantity of energy, a lot of these companies need to figure that out, and they're rolling into the nuclear aspect, and that's why they're signing these deals. That's important. But the country that has already started that out and they've realized the need for that, and they're building, I think it's hundreds at this point, is China. China's building them all over.
Absolutely.
So we need to keep up. Yeah, we need to keep up with that, because I don't want to say like, they're smart and they're beating us at this game, but we need to have a competitive, equal level play here if we're going to do the same things, if we're rolling the same things out, they're rolling the technology out. We need that.
Did you guys see that Trump was drafting like a plan to create sort of like a Manhattan Project for AI to like open up all of this development? So I think that's really, for me, that's something that's really positive. I feel like he understands that we need to be first at this, and whoever controls this is going to have a lot of significant leverage over countries that don't, and it's going to, I think, split a lot of different countries up. Like if you don't have AI, it's going to be like, still writing stuff down instead of using a phone. Like it's going to be a little crazy.
Excel spreadsheets. Yeah. Yeah, but I think the problem that we're having versus China specifically is that their businesses are connected to the government. Like they don't have really a private sector.
Right.
So their private
They
sector
do.
is
Private
yeah,
sector.
their private sector is nepotism essentially. So if you're not somehow connected with Xi Jinping, then you're not getting a deal done, and um, the government gets a part of whatever profit that you make. So everything goes. I mean, so like they're just much better
It's like
about
taxes.
coming up with a plan. They come up with a plan and they
Taxes
just
is that. That's the same stuff.
execute.
Yeah.
They execute the plan because there's no red tape.
Well,
as long
because-
as long as the plan was come up with by the administration, the plan gets executed.
Well, the
If
red
it goes
tape,
against the administration,
the red tape, I think, starts because like what happens is they have direct access to funding because the government can print its own money, right? And so what you're really doing is giving all those businesses access to that, right? And so it's like, hey, oh, what? Okay, we're gonna need a part of this, but we're also going to invest, and then this is how it's going to be better than everybody else in the United States. And so we're just going to print the money that you fucking need to buy U.S. products. We have to convert the yen. You know what I mean? So
yeah, their biggest
yes and
problem
no.
is technology.
Yes and no. So I'm going to make a counter argument to that. So China, you're 100% correct. They have all the funding in the world, but China lacks its creativity. Okay, they have no creativity. If you look at China, most of the products
kidding me?
are
Have
stolen.
you ever seen those guys make those human pyramids like real quick? That's fucking creative as hell.
Okay, so China sits there and they steal ideas, they steal technology from the US. Now, what they end up doing is they make that technology a little bit better and more effective because they've already stolen it, but they're not coming up with the idea. So that's China's game is stealing. That's what they've always done, and that's what they continue to do. Their creativity. Look at their military equipment. Look at their skyscrapers. And also, the other thing in China is regulation is like almost non-existent. They build like apartment complexes. They build towers that collapse their buildings and stuff like that. Okay, anybody can do that, but they fall.
Yeah, they it's pretty funny because we have had some briefs about China, and one of the things I thought was interesting is that they have 14 shipbuilding facilities in the country, and one of their shipbuilding their manufacturing facilities is bigger than all of ours combined.
We have like,
I mean, they can produce
yeah,
way more than we can produce. It's just quantity over quality. That's their biggest problem.
and but we definitely have more shit posting facilities than they do.
What shit posting?
Yes.
Okay, whatever you're on right now, please cut it
Come
back.
on. Shit posting is when you post like on a platform talking shit.
No, that's called a bot. That's called a bot.
Yeah.
Right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, they got a whole bot facilities.
Mike, you're only 27. You look like you're 65. You should have known that already.
Let me explain something, Ricardo. When you have to say the joke and explain it over and over, so we pick up on it, it fails.
They can't all be good. Some of them have to just be mediocre for some of the other ones to be
I agree.
fantastic. Mike, tell us a little bit about what you thought about the approach to campaigning here. Just jumping off stocks, guys. So stay nuclear, stay in whatever Mike said. Approach to campaigning.
So
real
I
quick.
think in this last election, you saw the difference in approaching. You saw the old method of what Harris did compared to the new method, which is what Trump did. So one of the things Trump did was I truly believe based on what he did, he ran it like a business. He literally turned around, he executed on a plan. He made sure he was going to rallies. And the thing that they identified, like any business, is they found a loophole, in my opinion, which they realized could be very successful. And this is going to change elections going forward, is podcasting. He found that he can reach a lot more audiences and he can have a bigger reach by doing these very popular podcasts. You look at the Joe Rogan podcast, it's over 100 million views. I truly believe Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's a very, very popular podcaster, Ricardo, unlike yourself. But he was.
You're on this show too, moron.
I'm not popular just yet. But no, he went and did all these podcasts. One of the biggest components of that is he realized the loophole. He did it. Also, the second thing that he did that was very strong is when it came to campaign financing and spending money, he used his money wisely. And what I mean by that is he made
In what
sure
sense
that
do
he
you-
spent
what do you
that.
mean?
He used his money wisely. Harris had, I think it was $1.2 billion in campaign money. Trump was nowhere even close to that. He was at, I think, like 350 million or 360 million. I can't remember exactly. So he was basically, he had less money, so he had to be more effective. He made sure to run his ads in targeted areas. He made to use his resources in targeted areas. He made sure that when he was running his campaign as a business, he had to realize what worked, what didn't work. And one of the biggest things that worked for him was having the podcast, but Elon Musk going out there and several other celebrities out there. And, the Democrats
huge.
and Harris did it a little too late. They had Mark Cuban starting to go out there and do podcasts
But do you?
and something
I mean,
for her.
I feel like the way that he did his podcast, I didn't think he really did a good job. And I'm not, for or against, but I didn't think it helped her. I don't know at all.
You're talking about Mark Cuban?
Yeah, like doing a little campaigning for her.
Well, I think the problem is always. Sorry.
Excuse
No,
me.
go ahead. I cut you off.
No, I was just going to say. I think the problem has always been that some of these candidates can't do long form podcast stuff without sounding like morons. And look, I watched most of Trump's podcast with Joe Rogan, and while I don't think he's an idiot,
Talking to the side of the mic.
I don't think he's an idiot. I felt like he definitely did the whole politician thing a lot, where he didn't answer Joe Rogan's question directly and beat around the bush for a while and sort of.
Of course.
No, I thought he did an excellent job, and I thought if Joe Rogan or if Joe Biden had been on there, it would have been an absolute train wreck. But when Vance got on there, holy cow, that guy is smart. And
he humanized himself. Vance humanized himself very well, because he talked about Ohio State football. He talked about his growing up, where he grew up. He talked about likes. And the one thing that Vance did, which I actually enjoyed, was the fact that he was a politician, so he gives his political answers. But one thing he did was he kind of connected with people by cursing, by talking about his family, by talking about his relationship with his kid and his wife. Politicians, most of the time when they give these interviews, it feels so rehearsed. It's like you can't really believe it because they're just talking points. Now, I don't want to sit here and say that, like certain politicians, I'm not going to go after Harris and say she can't talk, she can't do this. I have my own personal beliefs and opinions, and I feel a certain way. But what I'm going to say is doing podcasts and having realistic conversation where it doesn't feel scripted and you have to think off the top of your feet after an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, okay, you get a better sense of the person, because you can only answer so many questions for so long in a rigid way. So I think going forward as a business, you're going to see this more and more. Like you saw Trump with Theo Von. They were talking about drugs and how, like, they got a little personal with Theo Von. Was talking about his addictions, his habits, and then Trump was asking him questions and talking about that, and then relating about his brother and getting a little bit more personal with his brother. People don't think about that. Like they think, oh, it's just politics. This is just him. I can't believe anything. Yeah, but for other people, there's a connection there because they see Trump in a different way. So when you have audiences that look at these podcasts, 50, 60, 70 million views, you're going to see people, maybe 500, maybe 200, maybe 100,000 people that see Trump that way and like, oh, okay, I can see the human side of him. So going forward as a business, as a political campaign, you're going to see it more like business, because they're going to see these podcasts themselves as an opportunity. And you're going to see more and more candidates do that, mark my words. Now, the question is, what podcasts are they going to go on?
Well, I think, a couple things. One, it could hurt you just as much as help you, depending on, what you sound like when you get on the podcast. But I know that Joe, because we've been watching Joe for a while now, and he's been talking about this. I don't think he mentioned it specifically when it came to politics, but he definitely has been talking about this long form conversation where like you can just talk about whatever you want. He's never really put, strict timelines on his podcast. I know that we are because we kind of have time, don't have time, but he's always just said, hey, let's keep talking. As long as the conversation is interesting, we'll keep going. And I've always liked that format. I think it's done really well. But to your point though, about, unlocking kind of an unknown tool for the campaign approach, kind of reminds me of Clinton beating Bush back in the day, because Clinton went on MTV, and that really helped his campaign a lot. And that at the time, Bush was definitely seen as the old part of the hierarchy kind of thing, and Clinton was like this cool guy that played the saxophone, and definitely won a lot of the younger generation crowd at that point. And it feels like this is the kind of what happened this time, is that Trump kind of won.
Blame it on the music
youth.
guy.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I felt like to Mike's point that he definitely unlocked sort of a thing that I think has to be a part of your campaigning in the future in order to reach out to a significant audience and to get like, because what we don't want to see anymore, at least our generation, from what I can tell, is what we don't want to see anymore is these people that have cookie cutter answers, that clearly have a team of people that are like feeding them information so that they can come out with what they think, quote unquote, is the answer that people want to hear. We want to see that you're not a douchebag who's been in politics for 40 years, because that's clearly gotten us nowhere up to this point. We want people that come in, they're intelligent people, they think, and maybe they're wrong sometimes. We don't care. Just admit that you're wrong. We don't give a crap, just as long as you're like a human being.
You hit it right on the head. Well, Trump is a businessman. He's not a politician. And the thing is, our country has elected him now, not once, but twice. So clearly people are voting or speaking with their vote because they feel a certain way. So it's changing now. And I feel like a lot of people see that change and are adapting. Now our politicians have to change as well. And they have to really stop being as much of a politician, but more as a human being. And that's the problem. They have to show their human side.
Yeah, but more of a connector, right? And like, I feel like politicians have maybe taken on sort of a misguided role, right? And the role is like, hey, I'm a leader. And what that means is that I have all the answers. But really what politicians have is access. They have access to funds, they have access to staff, they have access to departments. And so if they decide to take on a role with it's more of a connector between the issues of the constituency and the resources that they have, instead of having to spend so much energy and time putting this face forward like they have all the answers all the time, that would be a recipe, in my opinion, for success.
Agreed.
Agreed.
You were going to say something about Jeff?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to show Jeff real quick. Shout out to turbo.fm. And so he posted in the chat, middlemen have ruined the country. And I kind of tend to agree with this guy. I was hoping that the AI would eliminate the middleman economy because, it's definitely one where I feel like people aren't really, if they want to be connectors, they should be politicians, like I was just saying, connect resources with problems, not just with profit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this whole political landscape has definitely changed, not for the better until recently. We've definitely seen more and more, lifelong politicians that have done absolutely nothing in 40 years or 35 years or whatever it is. And I know when you look back at like the founding fathers, all of the people that, were in politics back then, they had jobs. Still, like they did their tour of duty, so to speak, and then they went back and ran their law business, or they went back and
good point, really good point,
whatever they did. And now we don't do that. We like, you become a politician and you make, 6 figures and you line your pockets, and you do that for 25 to 30 years. And Trump talked about this on the podcast with Joe Rogan about how they're survivors. They just never really say anything right or wrong. And that's how they keep their job for 25 to 30 years. which is difficult, right? I mean, you got to get reelected every 2 or 4 years, depending on which house you're in. And they're basically just staying in the middle enough to keep people voting them. And it's kind of sad. And what we've seen to this point is just a terrible, terrible country from a lot of aspects as a result. And nothing's getting done. And it's only getting worse. And if at this point, it seems to be more about revenue generation than helping the people. And it's sad.
Yeah, well, regardless of which house you're in, be thankful you're not at Diddy's house.
That is true.
I don't know, man. The baby oil shower sounds nice right now.
Well, I'll give a big shout out to Share Bear, one of our loyal viewers here. Share Bear said, "Bro, is Mike in a suit? Sorry, I'm late. Was eating chili mac and playing trivia." Yes, Mike is in a suit. He actually has a regular job, and he does things for people where he has to wear a suit. But shout out Share Bear. Thanks for watching. Got another one from Mr. Corrigan here, Turbo.fm. He says, Salesforce, CrowdStrike, all shoehorn Chads into analysis.
Damn Chads. Chads are the worst.
Yeah, I don't know. Jeff has a MIS degree from University of Colorado Boulder. So he knows a little bit about the whole situation. But yeah, what do you guys think about that comment?
It's all you, buddy.
Yeah, so pretty much those companies are just data aggregators and kind of argue and state, anything that a company really themselves can do. But they sell the guys that they have better metrics, they have better ability to, analyze the information. Any company can do this, especially when it's a major, corporation. They have the resources to do all that. And I feel like it's just a wasted, some of the technology is good. I don't want to dispute that. Some of these companies have decent technology. I'm not too familiar 100% with all the inner workings of what the company does. But other companies, I just feel like these companies can do it itself. They're just selling something. But you also have to, a lot of people have to remember, these companies start from being employees at other major companies. Yeah. So for example,
agreed.
And they create an idea that they think is going to take off and be successful, and they get all these people to invest money. So all of a sudden, the equity and the capital and the market cap continue to go up. What value do they bring? A lot of these times you're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I was going to say there's let's get the money first, and then once we have enough money, we can buy an idea or whatever the fuck we need.
Well, yeah, once we have an idea, we buy it. So everybody gets shares in that company, right? It's kind of like a Ponzi scheme in a lot of perspectives because we have tons of shares. And you know who those contracts with? Yeah, most of those contracts typically happen with the friend of the private equity or the venture capital company or one of their friends that started another company or was successful. So all of a sudden you have all these contracts with revenue generation. What value do they bring to the companies? You don't know, but at the end of the day, if they're a public company, all these people are buying into that company, and guess what? The market share is going up, and your shares and your equity in that company is going up as well. So at the end of the day, they're making money off of a bullshit idea off of other people.
How are we gonna put a stop to this, Mike?
How are we gonna put a stop to this? I wish I had.
Good answer.
I have no idea. But I probably would say
it's the incentives.
Actually, having IPAs.
IPA like the drink, or IPA like something different?
Yeah, you have to drink.
Shout out Brian in the chat who said, "Sup, boys?" And I think either he did that on purpose or he just doesn't spell that good.
It's Bly. Or no, honestly, I think it's the incentive structures that are the problem. I love capitalism, but a lot of it comes down to you're incentivized to be greedy, and the only way to fix it is to really have moms and dads start spanking their kids again. I think. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
What?
bank. I think moms and dads should do whatever they feel they want to do or whatever. Just don't torture kids. I'm not a mom or a dad, so I can't really comment on that. But guys, check this out. Today, I saw a post here that said that 90% of government contracts, right, are awarded to NGOs under a non-competitive bid, and it's in the numbers in the billions. So that's kind of fucked up. And I don't know if it is or not. Let me know what you guys think. I personally believe that this is not a good incentive structure, regardless of guaranteeing funds in the future for government-supported businesses. But I do believe if the pipeline runs both ways, and I think that, besides, giving some of the most important things that we need in the military a pipeline to financing through this type of, award system. I also believe that it also puts a lot of influence on politicians, on the other side, going the other way on the pipeline. So I'm not sure about.
I have a question. As you say non-competitive, you mean there's only one company that is competing for that contract and they're being awarded that same contract on renewal every year? Or what do you mean?
No,
or
so
it's not
basically,
being offered to the market?
so like normally in government, and I worked for a publicly traded government contractor that bid on contracts. Oh, and so what happens is most contracts required by, and usually I thought it was by law, are put out on a tender system. And the tender system means that you have to basically, they put out a request for proposal and they say, hey guys, I'm trying to build a motherfucking Burger King on 13th and F, right? And I got $15 to do it, right? And so they put it out, right? And then all of these companies, obviously, we have a department that, is on like a line wire or whatever. And you get this notification that all of a sudden, hey man, so-and-so county or whatever government sector, there's all of these websites that you can subscribe to that have all of these proposals already listed, like almost like a shopping list, right? And if your company meets the requirements, because each proposal has a requirement, right, you can bid on it, right? And then you submit a formal bid. And it's required by law that bidding process is open to all companies, public and private, not like out of the country, that meet the requirements. And in the requirements, it can say you got to be a U.S. company or whatever. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And so anybody who meets these requirements can bid on these, right? And so what it means non-competitively, and like what I learned was that there's a lot of relationship building between these companies and entities, so that we can understand what their needs might be in the future, because some of these proposals require capital investment and machinery and stuff, and so it's good to have a relationship, like, hey man, we're thinking about building a Death Star, man, what do you guys got? Oh man, we might have something for that too, so like you kind of understand, like, I got to get lasers, and so I think that like what government non-competitive means that, like, so say you're a government agency and you're like, hey man, I need a Death Star, right? And I say, okay, cool, I'll tell you what, how much you got? And you'd say, I got $100 billion. All right, man, for $100 billion, I can fucking build you a Death Star, right? And then he's like, okay, how are you going to get it done? Be like, I don't know, just give me the fucking money. And then basically it doesn't open up for other companies to submit proposals on how to build a Death Star and compete for that capital. It just goes directly to one person non-competitively.
So it's actually worse than that. Not to say that you're wrong. So like I work at a massive company. We have a lot of government contracting. It's actually worse. So like example is, I need a part made and I need it expedited and I need it to be non-standard, and I just go directly to the company and tell them with a drawing and tell them to get me a quote, and if I like the quote, then I give them a purchasing order and they make me the part. Now, all I have to do to prevent from getting dinged on the audit, which by the way is only if you get audited, mind you, all I have to do is print out a piece of paper to justify why I didn't outsource it to multiple companies.
Closer to the mic.
All I have to do is just type a piece of paper that gives my justification as to why I didn't outsource it to multiple companies, and then make sure that piece of paper is on file. And in the off chance that we get audited by the government, We have a piece of paper on file that says we didn't outsource it because of timing and whatever other stuff. So
Well, yeah, of
So
course.
you're
And
saying
that
I should buy governmental contracting companies that have. So is that what you're saying?
no,
what I was saying was what Ricardo was saying is it's good to know people. Basically,
yeah,
you got to have a company that has a
there's
service.
something wrong with that because there's guys that make a living, right? Like searching these websites, right? And then being like, I know a company that does that. And then they'll call the company and say, hey, man, or they'll email the company. Sorry, I didn't mean to call and be like, yo, bro, do you think you guys could pull this off? Right. And then they'll be like, sure, give me a quote. Right. And then he gets a quote. And if the quote is less than what the government is offering, or he can negotiate the quote down with a margin for his time, all he does is connect the two to the contracts. Right.
I know a guy that does that. That's his job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to
Well,
do,
isn't
man.
there a movie? Isn't there a movie that correlates into that?
Yeah, dogs are
perspective?
war.
Dogs of War,
of
yeah.
War. With the ammunition, they made it like all sexy because it's about guns, but it can be about wrenches. Really, It
No,
doesn't-
I literally, when I was in Saudi, I literally got a phone call from that guy, and he was like, "Hey, man, do you know anybody that sells 2100 engines out here in Saudi Arabia?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know if I can find you an airplane engine."
How many?
He's like, I know a
need?
guy. He's like, I know a guy that's trying to build a C-130 and needs engines. He's like, I thought because like, no,
Yeah, know a guy. His last name rhymes with Tootin.
It's pretty funny.
Shooting.
I was like, I don't think I can get you engines for cheap, buddy, but
That's hilarious. Hey man, do you have an airplane engine just hanging out? Like,
yeah, right.
hold on, let me check my cold plunge. Oh wait, I do
Yeah.
have a helicopter.
Hold on, let me go to my backyard. Let me see. If
I didn't even notice the motherfucker was here. Oh, I've been all the time. Thank God you called. I would have never noticed.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I laughed because I was in Saudi, so I was like, I don't think I can get you one, buddy, but yeah.
Nice. All right, guys. The last topic I wanted to discuss today, I didn't make a thing for it, but it's pretty funny. Hold on a second. Let me make a thing for it.
Oh no.
Is this-
I just fucked it up. Hold on.
Is this the Russian influence on North Korean troops, South Korean troops? Oh God. Oh God.
Type.
What
It's
are we
very-
talking about? What are we talking
You're
about?
gonna love this one. You're gonna love this one, Mike.
Oh God, if you're saying that,
just-
I'm very concerned right now.
Just cringe. Just cringe now. It's actually kind of
Please, I
funny.
hope this is not
It's
stupid.
kind of funny.
I want to talk about the Iraq War also with this right here, because I heard something
What-
similar happened in the Iraq War. All right,
Oh
guys.
my God.
So there's a report today that of a majority of the North Korean troops that were enlisted to fight for Russia on the Ukrainian front, having accessed the internet for the first time and having access to anything on the internet for the first time, have become mostly addicted to porn. And I thought it was funny because I heard similar things about the Iraq War, how like warriors or war fighters who were over there had brought porn and violent DVDs, and some of these people had never seen this stuff, and it kind of got addicted to this violence and porn and all this shit. So what do you guys think about this, guys? What do we have to say?
You want to go, Mike, or you want to?
Do you remember when you were 12, 13, 14? When you
Yeah, but I was
when you
never North
discovered-
Korean.
Yeah, when you discovered the internet. I'm not surprised about this because when you discover the internet, you become addicted just in general, and then obviously you get addicted to certain things. In this case, they're addicted to porn, which is accessible. We're so used to this; it's on our cell phones any 2 seconds. For them, not having any internet, being putting firing lines when you don't attend a fucking rally for their dictator. This is a first, and quite frankly, I'm not surprised by it.
Thank you, Keanu Reeves.
So, as someone who's been deployed a couple times, surrounded by lots of dudes,
Tell them about
I'm
the drive.
I'm not surprised at all, and it's pretty funny. There's a time-honored tradition on deployment that doesn't really exist anymore because of Wi-Fi. But back in the day, when the only way you could get videos onto the ship was on a hard drive, you'd have a very intimate relationship with other men by trading hard drives and finding out what their tastes are in movies and other things, and you're like, we don't have the same tastes. Can I get my hard drive back? It's like,
That's hilarious,
Wow.
man.
yeah.
These
So,
little stories you don't hear about.
No, absolutely not.
I think this is super funny, but I also think it's a really good tip to the hat to propaganda guys. And so like I think this is, if anything, is proof that ideas are addictive, right? And even ideas that we're not looking for can capture our attention more than we want them to. So when you're taking information in, including the bullshit coming out of our mouths, be sure to check it all, do your own research, and be careful. What you're looking at out there. You don't want to become North Korean. I mean that survey. I mean nothing against North Korea, but like imagine if watching porn for too long made you North Korean.
Well, I mean,
What?
being under the thumb of a dictator for your entire life and then seeing, I don't know, hot blondes for the first time, I'd, probably go
I think it's
AWOL.
called being human. Yeah, I mean,
No, I mean, to not to derail too much, but I think that this is kind of a systemic problem in that country anyways. They already have strict controls on everything, and our country, we're a little bit less prude, but we still have some taboo things, right? But there is an epidemic right now among young men with porn, for sure. I mean, Ricardo and I have talked about this. We've both made a pretty concerted effort over the last few years to like cut that stuff out of our lives. I know a lot of other celebrities have been talking about the same thing. I know Peterson talks a lot about it, and then we even talked the other day about how that stuff lowers your testosterone levels, and that is another reason why you shouldn't be doing it extensively, because it's just not good for your long-term health, both mentally and physically. But
I was just going to say, are you talking about Jordan Peterson when he was talking about this?
yeah.
yeah, he talks a little bit about how like if you're watching porn, then you're less likely to chase the opposite sex because like
days
you're
Well,
of holding your sperm in increases your testosterone levels by 200%. You're available.
so there's been several things. One is when you're watching porn just in general, and there's a psychological thing that goes on that you get kind of like when you're actually intimate with somebody, you're kind of turned off. It takes you longer to actually get physically attracted to that other person because you've seen it so often that it's like that physical interaction doesn't get you anymore.
So let me
Studies on that.
let me ask you this, Mike. So is there like a
Here we go.
cold plunge style solution? So like if I watch porn and I'm like, man, I've been watching porn for like 8 days straight, right? If you send me a picture of your hairy ass and then like I look at that for like 10 minutes,
Why?
will it-
What is
will
today?
it- will it-
What is today? Like literally, what is today?
Is there a cold plunge
Margaret-
style?
People keep just taking pop shots now? You're gonna just keep going with it?
Be on time. Be on time to the next show.
wow. No, the
Mhm.
Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. That was Austin Powers' thing. Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. I mean, honestly, you have to make just sort of a decision that you want to be better. And I'm not gonna lie, it was something I had to like really focus a lot of energy on. It was just like because you get bored and that's what you do, right? I mean, I was in the military for a long time. When we got bored in the barracks, I mean, it was drinking or that or the gym. Those are your options. And so I mean, I could see as far as like cutting cold turkey, man, it's got to be a choice. And for me, a lot of times when it comes to things like this particular, I need the evidence that supports why, not just like anecdotal evidence or like word of mouth. I need like
So
legitimate things.
Well,
And one,
I have a
one that,
question.
sorry.
Well, I have a question for you. So,
No.
are you in a relationship?
Well, yeah, now, but that helps a lot.
Okay,
of
so
course.
my question to you is obviously when you're in a relationship, you're intimate with somebody else. Do you have like when you're intimate
Wait,
with
what?
somebody else the same? When you're in a relationship and you're intimate with your partner, there's
Hey,
a
man.
psychological element to it. So
Oh yeah,
is
100%.
that
I think I
so?
left my Trump
So
Chia
going
head at your house. I hope that's not what you're in a relationship with, Chris.
I'm listening, Mike. I got you.
what I'm saying to you, when you're in a relationship, you're intimate with your other partner, compared to when you're single and you're constantly watching porn. For you yourself, through experience, do you feel a difference psychologically? Do you feel a difference physically?
I mean, the short answer is yes, but the problem is there's too many other variables to say that that is like one of the reasons. But I would say it's one of the reasons. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely studies out there about how you're more likely or less likely to find things gross when you're aroused. I think Stanford did a study about that.
Right, your
And
threshold for disgust goes up.
your threshold for disgust. And so one of the things that I am guilty, I've noticed is that, like, you know, sometimes sex is gross, and when you're watching porn, it's not gross, right? You don't have the other you know, things like smells and, you know, taste and all that stuff. And that's like one of those things you gotta like just overcome, right? I mean, just I like I said, too many variables for me. Too many variables for me. Hey man, this is a safe space, Mike. This is a safe space.
I didn't say
I can't
anything.
keep it straight,
I said nothing. I said nothing at all. I said nothing at all. I
Oh
said
my
nothing.
God.
Damn. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, no,
I'm
I
actually
forgot what-
fucking tearing right now. Tearing.
Nice.
Oh God.
All right,
I
man.
quit.
I think that's all we got for today. Big shout out to Turbo.fm. Shout out to Chris's AI Advanced Penis Exerciser.
$29.99.
Shout out to Mike for delivering that baby on the subway. Follow Almost Patriots at YouTube at Almost Patriots on YouTube at Almost Patriots. Follow Media Killers on X at Media Killers. Follow Almost Patriots podcast on Instagram. Tune in, guys. Next week we may have a sports show for you. It doesn't matter because the Washington Commanders are going to the motherfucking Super Bowl. All right,
Go Steelers.
yeah, go Steelers. Commander Steelers.
Go
this
Giants.
Sunday. That happened last Sunday. I think we might have won that one. But anyways,
I know we're horrible.
shout out to
Need
Mike
a new fucking quarterback.
in New York City. Shout out to Chris in Indianapolis. I'm your host, Rico, here in San Diego. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you guys